out the outside noise, Chris Johnston. That is something that gets talked about so often come playoff times, especially for a Game 7. For the Maple Leafs, though, that outside noise has to be deafening, considering all their past playoff failures, considering their failures to eliminate the Montreal Canadiens in Games 5 and 6. The Leafs, though, how are they embracing this moment? What is their mood as they head towards a do-or-die Game 7?
Well, if you want to put the positive spin on it, I think they have some practice in blocking out the noise that people like you and I produce, Shawn. You know, certainly part of playing in both Montreal and Toronto is the fact that there's a lot of talk around the team, you know, on social media, you know, among traditional media like ourselves. And so I think they have some practice at that. And so really I think the way the Leafs are trying to frame this is, you know, the positive side, that it's an opportunity to put, you know, some of their past behind by winning an elimination game, by moving on to the second round, that this can be a springboard for them. And you know, I thought that Jason Spezza summed it up pretty well before Game 7 by just saying they put the work in for this moment, that they don't feel they have to be anything other than themselves. They don't have to do anything outside of what they've already done this season, and that should be good enough to deliver them into the second round.
Now, speaking of pressure and outside noise, there is plenty of it focused on Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner, people demanding more from the Leafs superstars. Is that pressure and that demand justified and fair?
Well, it's probably bordering on unfair a little bit. I mean, it's not as though these guys have been horrible in the series. I mean, look, they've produced goals. They haven't been on for one against that 5-on-5. But, you know, when you're paid as they are, when they're your top 5 scorer, as both of them were in the regular season, you're counted on to produce a little bit more offense than they have through 6 games of this series. And, you know, I think the key for them is just focusing on the process, focusing on the fact they have generated a ton of opportunities on Carey Price. You know, Marner hasn't scored. Matthews has just the 1 goal through 6 games. But that, you know, that if they continue to do that, history suggests they will again be dangerous offensive players. Problem is they have to try and sum it in a do-or-die game tonight.
So the Leafs players have to be their best players. The Habs' best players, well, that's Carey Price, and he has been outstanding so far this series. How big of an impact will he have in Game 7, depending if he plays lights out or not, and just how much of an impact has he had on limiting Matthews and Marner so far?
It's been an amazing series for him, and I don't say amazing because no one's surprised to hear that Carey Price could play outstanding. I mean, he is the goaltender of this generation, I believe, Shawn. But, you know, the fact that he was injured right up until playoff time, you didn't know what you were going to get. It wasn't his best regular season, but he's rediscovered some past form, his highest level of focus. He's been outstanding in the series. You know, Montreal wins a Game 6 in overtime, but the shots were 13-2 in overtime. I mean, their goaltender had to rise up in that moment and not allow the Leafs to end the series then, and he could play an outside impact on what happens here. The Leafs could outplay them, outshoot them again, and they could win because of Carey Price. And I think that's ultimately the ace in Montreal's deck, is that, you know, even if they're overmatched in the game, you know, he can be a difference maker for them.
Well, Chris, tonight we'll find out if the Maple Leafs can finally exercise